Hello, good morning, and you're very welcome. This is I'm Terry Morris, and today is Tuesday Tips. So today I just thought I would talk about SEO for a little bit, the 30,000 foot view of SEO. I was in participating in an online webinar last week, and there was a lady. It was actually in the Women's Inspire group, and there was a lady who was talking about SEO and images, and there was quite a bit of interest in that. There is always interest in SEO. I did a Facebook Live on this. I think it was maybe about a month ago, or maybe a month and a half ago, where I talked about sort of on-page SEO and off-page SEO. And there's always a lot of interest in that, and I think it's because everybody wants to be on page one. So what I thought I would do, when I saw the webinar last week, and I did see a huge amount of interest in that, and typically what you see is that people are looking for the different strategies and things like that, and those things can be good as well, but sometimes I think we lose sight of sort of the 30,000 foot view of it. And so I thought maybe I would just talk about that, because it can be easy to get lost in the specific strategies and then do things that might not necessarily be appropriate for your business. So I really wanted to just take an overall general view of this. So I just started by saying that SEO is it's a search engine optimization, and this changes over time. Google changes its algorithms, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to provide the most relevant searches as possible for people who are looking for a particular item. As a result, like they do change, what they will do is that if they think you're trying to use specific strategies to get people to your site, and your site may not be that, relevant or may not be that good, they're actually trying to penalize people for that. So what I would just say is that if you have done all the right things first, then knowing some of the specific strategies can help. But I think the main overall arching goal that you want to be thinking about is making sure that you provide information that is relevant and is going to withstand any type of algorithm changes that happen within Google. So here's the main things I think you need to think about. One of the main factors for SEO is the amount of time that is spent on a page. So when someone spends a longer amount of time on your page, you're going to rank higher because they're interested in your page, in what you have on there. There's a couple ways that I think about this. I think about making sure that the content on there is good content, so that they would want to stay on the page. But this is another reason why I also recommend that you have longer pages. And you can see a lot of the sort of, some of the, I suppose, I'd have to say there would be websites that are sort of at the forefront of web design, and they're very much in touch with what is happening with technology. They are going with longer pages. Now, there is, some people are saying, don't go with one page, go with multi-pages. That's a little bit of a separate issue than longer pages. The reason why you want to go with longer pages, there's a couple reasons why. One is because people are now viewing most of what you see on the web from a mobile device. So it's between 70 to 80% of what is happening on the internet is viewed from a mobile device. And on a mobile device, people scroll. So what happens is that if your page is longer, they will continue to view what is on your page if it is interesting, if it is relevant, and if it's helping them. They will continue to scroll. If they have to click to go to another page, 73% of people are just not going to click. And this is why I'm really big on these longer pages. And I think, I know that it has certainly helped my clients out. It has definitely, without a doubt, has helped my clients, these longer pages. So time spent on page is a big, big factor on on the search engine optimization. And one way that you get that is longer pages if you have relevant content. But the main factor is that you have relevant content. Okay, so if you don't have relevant content, if when they go to your page that they don't get you, they don't, that the website is not, doesn't show them the benefits that they can get from what you're doing or why you've got information on there. If that is not interesting on your web page, then they're going to leave. So time spent on page is a really, really important factor. It's probably the main factor. The second factor is performance. So Google is putting a big emphasis on performance of your website. And this is why I think this is one of the benefits of a lot of these software as a service applications, because you don't have to worry about the performance of the website. That's all taken care of by the platform itself. And this is one reason why I think Strikingly is so good. Like Strikingly has exceptionally good performance. But if you have something like WordPress and you are choosing your hosting provider, it's up to you to make sure that you get the service that you want. And there's different plans. So you may like when we're all looking at, having to pay a certain cost and things like that, we may say, oh yeah, this one's cheaper by 20 euros or 30 euros a year or whatever. We might be tempted to kind of go with the cheaper plan. And oftentimes what you're getting Linux hosting, and Linux, just so you know, Linux is a PC. It's it's a Unix-based PC. That's what Linux hosting is. So you're not necessarily going to get great performance on that. So just remember that time spent on page, performance of your website, hugely important, because Google is focusing on the user experience. The third area is mobile optimized. So this is a couple of things. This is whether your website is responsive. That means that it will automatically change based on the layout will automatically change based on the type of device that you're viewing the site from, and also that it is sort of mobile friendly is what I would say. So if, for instance, you give information about your location, there's certain things that you can put on a website. You can call someone directly. You can click to get a location. If it's sort of optimized for mobile viewing, so that when someone goes to your site, all they have to do is click, and it will show you the exact location, or it will actually allow you to call someone from the mobile device. That's mobile friendly. So those things are mobile optimized. Those things are going to make a big difference. Okay, as regards things like keywords, this is kind of what we hear about all the time when we start thinking about search engine optimization is keywords. And keywords are an indication of the relevancy of the information of your site to what someone is looking for. So just remember, it's an indication of relevancy. So it is important. But like, as I said, don't forget the sort of 30,000 foot view, and don't be stuffing your website with these keywords. And the reason why is because when you do that, it makes it so obvious when someone comes to your site. It's like you're being bombarded with all these keywords. They're not natural, and people will just leave. And the amount of time someone spends on your page is so much more important than actually the keywords. So what you want, the keywords are important. What am I saying? They are important, but the main thing is that the amount of time that they spend on your page. Okay, so what I would do is that for whatever your site is about, I would actually think of the keywords and then naturally sprinkle them in your headlines, your headers, your headers and your subheaders. Naturally sprinkle them in. Use similar words where, if your keyword happens to be on, houses or something like that. Make sure you put houses, property, different keywords that all sort of reinforce what you're about on the site, and put them in the headers and subheaders, and put them in naturally so that people don't feel like they're being sold to or something. People don't actually like that. And when it's a good experience, people will stay on your site longer. Okay. I hope that makes makes some sense. So I just wanted to talk about this sort of 30,000 foot view, because I just think it is really, really crucial. In the webinar last week, there were some specific strategies that came out. One had to do with images and how you should use alt tags for images. And actually, that is a specific strategy that you can implement without having to worry about it affecting your site. That strategy is really based on having people being able to find you in search, and it will not affect the user experience at all. So that is actually a very, very good strategy that you should be thinking about. So what that is that for each of your images, there's an alt tag that you can actually specify in them. I think like in WordPress, there's a thing on the side, where you can specify more information about sort of each image. And strikingly, it's as you upload the image, when you have the option to either change the image or edit it or whatever, there are options there for the alt tag and the description. And in those areas is where you want to put in some keywords. And I would specifically, for each of your images, I would think about your branding, and I would put in something like, for my sake, I would put in Impulse Hub. This is like website, this is consulting, this is training, whatever it happens to be. For each image, I would put in your company name for each one. And that, as I said, that is actually a very good strategy, because it will increase your search, it will make your search better for you, but it will not affect the user experience on the site. So that is actually very, very good. The other thing about images as well is that 30% of Google searches are now being done through images. So, that is something that sort of everybody can and should be doing to increase their search engine rank performance for their website. Okay, so one of the things to think about, and this is like when I talk about the 30,000 foot view, is what's called, some people call it CAT, some people call it CTA, which is another acronym for call to action. It stands for, in the search world, it stands for consistency, trust, and authority. So these are the main things that you want to be able to think about when you are doing your work on search engine optimization. So consistency means that you have things that are exactly the same all over the web, as regards your name, your company name, your address, the address of your company, and your phone. So those things need to be exactly the same. So if you're using, John Reed and Company, you want to have A-N-D everywhere. You don't want a mix of and ampersand. So that's the consistency thing. It needs to be exactly the same, because even though you and I know they might be the same thing, from a computer's point of view, they're just sort of bits and bobs and things like that. And so the computer doesn't necessarily know it's the same thing. So if you want to increase and improve your search, you want to think about consistency of your name, address. Those kinds of things are actually quite important. Okay, so that's the consistency. The authority has to do with the backlinks. And what I would say about the backlinks is that Google is looking at backlinks, and again, they're trying to provide information that is more relevant. So I would not be spending all my time trying to get backlinks, because the quality of the backlinks makes a big difference. If you are getting backlinks for the sake of getting backlinks, you're just going to be penalized. You want backlinks from good sources, backlinks from high quality sites. And when you get a backlink from a high quality site, it will raise your profile. If you get a backlink from a low quality site, it lowers your profile. So just don't go out there and get loads of backlinks, okay? So there's the authority, and then the trust. So what the trust is feedback and reviews. So if you get feedback, I think it's primarily, on sort of the feedback on Google, but also if you get feedback on other sites like Facebook and things like that, that will actually count in towards the trust as well. Okay, so if you want to remember that, either CTA, like call to action, it's another acronym for that, or CAT, a consistency, authority, and trust. Okay, I said a good bit there, so if anybody has questions, if you want to ask me a question, I'm more than happy to take that. Okay, so I might just talk very briefly as well about Google My Business. Okay, because there was a question asked the other day about Google My Business, and just to mention that some people, they think that if they have verified themselves on Google My Business, that they're sort of verified. There's actually two types of verifications that you need to be thinking about. One is to verify your website, and that is done through the Google console or the webmaster tools. So whoever set up your website should be able to do that for you. So you want to verify your website, and then you also want to verify your business. So when you verify your business, that's where you put in information about your business, and you receive something in the post. So that's where you put in your name, your address, the type of business that you are, your phone number, and you list it on Google Maps. So it's actually, you put the physical location. Now you can still get verified even if you don't, if you have a home office or whatever, you can still get Google verified. There's an option there that you can select. But you want to make sure that the information in there is correct. The information, you want to make sure it's descriptive. So when it has a description available in there, you want to make it as relevant as possible, because Google is going to use this when it shows a list of recommended businesses for the search that people are looking for. So make sure that the description is relevant, and also on the category that you select the correct category. You also want to put in photos as well, if you can. And the reason why you want to use photos is because if someone is searching for something and there's only a couple of businesses that show up, then it doesn't really make that much a difference. But if maybe someone is searching for something like yoga, and there is like a ton of listings that come up, like it is nice if you're listed in the very, very top, but in some instances, people will look at the entire listing. And what they will do is, if there are listings that have photos in them, they're more likely to have a look at those listings. So if you can put in photos for your Google My Business listing as well, that will help you. Okay, and just to say about the Google My Business. So what happens is, when you actually go to register your business, you submit it to Google, and they will send you something out in the post. And actually, I'll just show you here, just 1 minute. I just registered mine the other day, and it just came in the post. So this is what you get. Okay, so you get something that comes in the post, and when it comes in the post, there'll be a code inside. And then what happens is, you go back onto Google My Business and you put in the code, and that allows you to be verified through the business listing. Okay, so that's what it is for Google My Business. In terms of the SEO, it does help with your SEO if everything is correct. It can help you a lot, because you will show up at the very, very top. There'll be a map, and the business listings will show up in the very, very top. And if you're not showing up there, you might have a look at your description and at your category and things like that. And if there is an error, which there can be errors, you want to report it back to Google. So there was a woman who posted in the group the other day who was saying that she was being found for for a service that she doesn't provide in the Google My Business, and she didn't know what it was. How it got there. So I would say to check your description, and if that does happen, at the bottom of the listing, there is a send feedback link, and in there you can submit it and say, look, I need a correction here, or whatever. And they're normally fairly good about getting that sorted within a couple of days. Like even though Google is hard to get a hold of sometimes because they're just this big machine that's out there, they do have links, if you know where to kind of find them, that if you report them, they will get it sorted fairly quickly. Okay, so that's a little bit about SEO, the 30,000 foot, Google My Business. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to take questions. One of the reasons, like, I'm so big on these software as a service platforms, and in particular, strikingly, oh, hello, Helena. Excellent. Okay. And in particular, strikingly, is because so many of these things that you need to do or that you should be doing, they're sort of built in. They're more intuitive. Things like the headlines, putting keywords into the headers, and also performance and things like that. So many of those are actually built in, or they're just so much easier to use. And from that point of view, that allows me to focus more on my business. Okay, I'm just going to see this note here from Helena, because I got a note here that says, thanks, Terry. I just done Google My Business the other night and was wondering if I did it right. Seems like I did. Okay, great. Okay, so it's not that difficult, Helena. It's not that difficult. What I would say is, it should be fine. What I would do is maybe Google some of the terms that you are looking for, that people would search you under, like jewelry and things like that. And maybe, I don't know, things like christenings, what people might search for if they're trying to find some of the things that you sell, and see if your business is showing up. So it can help. So Google My Business can help, and it's part of your overall search engine optimization. As I said, it can help. Like, it's not, it's not going to be the thing that gets people rushing to your website. You need to really do a combination of things to make sure that your site is working for you and that you get up on Google My Business. Very good. I didn't think of that yet. Grant. Okay. Okay. All right, Helena. Okay. So if there's any other questions or anything, I hope this has been helpful. Let me see. Yeah. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to take them. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Helena, for coming by. I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week. Okay. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.